with me, now with me, no distance between us anymore. Now what I've done, but what you did, the cross has brought us together forever.
Okay, you guys, I want to welcome you back to Here Now Together. This is an interview that I was hoping to do a few months ago on Mother's Day, but just believing it's perfect timing. And I have my mother here today, Dolly MacDougall, and we are in 5 Mile River. I was supposed to say 3 Mile River, but that's somewhere else. I thought yesterday this was 9 Mile River, but it's actually right in the middle. 5 Mile River, and a good friend from just down the road outside of Upper Kennecook. His name's George. He's letting us use this as a backdrop. It's absolutely beautiful here. And thank you, George. Thank you very much. And this is obviously a really special interview for me. I had my dad on the show just to start it off, and now in having my mom here, it's just a very special thing for me because I think she's got a lot to say. My mother was outside of being my mom and a mom to myself and my two brothers, and teaching us about Christ as young people and as kids. My mom has a lot to offer in the area of inner healing, and she's going to talk a little bit about that. But I wanted to talk with Mom first off about kids and about family, because I know her and Dad made some big decisions early on as due to wanting to focus on the salvation of their boys, myself, my brother Jeff, and my brother Scott. And I wanted to ask her sort of a little bit about that, Mom. And first off, where are you from? Where were you born? I know, but they don't.
I was born in Newfoundland,
Yeah.
actually,
Mm-hmm.
in central Newfoundland, Springdale area. Then when I was quite young, I would have been about between 5 and 6 years old.
Mm-hmm.
We moved to central Newfoundland,
Okay.
Grand Falls area.
Okay.
So it's, yeah,
And then from there to Cape Breton.
from there to Cape Breton.
Yeah.
When I was about 15,
Yeah.
Mom and Dad decided that they wanted to settle in Nova Scotia.
Yeah.
I'm not sure
Why?
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what the motivation is for that, but
Yeah.
anyway, that's where we moved to,
Okay.
and we just moved across to North Sydney
Okay.
in Cape Breton.
So you're from North Sydney, and Dad was from Dutch Brook, and so somehow you guys met up in Cape Breton, and that's how you met. You guys moved there. How old were you when you moved to Cape Breton?
I was 15 when we moved to Cape Breton.
Okay.
Yeah, still in school.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, that's hard.
Yeah.
Making a move like that when you're 15, that's really hard.
Yeah, it was quite an extreme move for us
Yeah.
because we, in Newfoundland, we attended a Pentecostal school.
Okay, right.
And then when we moved to Cape Breton, we moved into public schools.
Yeah. Oh, that would be a major change. And just for the folks out there who, Cape Breton is an absolutely stunning, beautiful place. And so, Mom, I wanted to kind of, I think a lot of folks are struggling today, especially when I look at out in a church congregation with seeing the lack of young people, and seeing the lack of young families even. Since I was a kid, I don't ever remember that being the way church was.
No.
And I think that there is such an incredible attack on young couples and young people in the generation that we live in, that I just wondered if you could share some of the some of the thoughts, some of the ideas you could give to parents who are looking to make sure their kids don't fall away, or at least do their best. What were some of the ideas you and Dad came up with, or some of the guidelines you guys came up with to keep your kids in the faith? Not that it works for everyone, but are there some ideas that you could share that
It's
way?
never easy.
Yeah.
You know, it's. I think that the biggest thing, we were probably a little strict, but I think the biggest thing is prayer. Prayer, obviously.
Yeah.
You know, there is no sure thing.
Mm-hmm.
The best that you can do is focus on family.
Mm-hmm.
I always felt that my first calling was a mother.
Mm-hmm.
I always felt that.
Mm.
And I think focusing on when kids know that they are important,
Mm.
that they're not just an extension
Mm-hmm.
of you.
Mm-hmm.
They're not just beings that are there. They
Mm.
need to know that they're important. They need to be invested in.
Mm.
And that doesn't mean financially. It doesn't
Right.
mean a lot of money.
Right.
It
Yes.
means you
Yes.
as a person,
Yeah.
you as a couple,
Mm.
a mom and a dad,
Mm.
need to invest in your children.
Yeah.
And without that, they don't have the direction that they need. They don't have the they don't sense the importance of who they are
Yeah.
as kids.
Yeah.
And so I think that at home, you know, we look to church to be the thing that directs your kids, that keeps them in. That's not true. Home is what keeps your family together.
Right.
It's not church. Church is very, very important.
Yeah.
It's an extremely important aspect in a child's life.
Yeah.
But if they don't have it at home,
Mm.
it's not going to be everything that it needs to be for a
Right.
child.
I mean, a lot of times folks look at church and blame it for all of their ills, and that's not fair.
It isn't fair.
It isn't, because ministers are only people doing their best.
Exactly.
And so you're sort of saying you got to give a minister something to work with. And you know, have already done sort of a work in your own child's heart before they step through the door of a church, you know.
And if kids see two different stories,
Yeah.
if they see one thing at home,
Mm-hmm.
and then there's an image presentation that you put on at
Absolutely.
church,
Yeah.
it's not going to work well
Yeah.
for the child.
Yeah.
You have to be at home what you are at church.
Mm.
And that speaks to a child.
Yeah.
It speaks to kids.
I think it, you know, something, I can go too far that way, because, I mean, I am a product of what I saw at home and stuff like that, because of how my parents, to a degree, lived out their faith. And I always thought the best way to go in church is to tone it down from how you're living at home. As you know, I'm not telling you not to enjoy church, because we're meant to. But it, like Mom said, if your kids are seeing you be intense and whatever, really into things at church, but then at home you're not having any faith or reading your word, or I guess prayer, and just taking it seriously, taking your faith seriously at home, it damages them, especially young people. And I think young people can put up with a lot as long as they know that their folks are sincere. Sincerity is just about everything, and young people see through that so quick.
They do.
And yeah, so those I often heard my dad and Mom say that they made a decision at a point in their life. They were both of them involved in ministry, and they made a decision at a certain point that where my mom just looked at my dad and said, "Walter, you know, no matter where we're going, we're going to make a decision from this day forward to live for the kids." And I think, now I might not have said that right, Mom, but I can remember that sticking with me.
Yes, you did.
Yeah.
You're right.
Now you can you kind of give me an idea of what's the background, what that decision means? What is that? What was that?
Well, right from the get-go,
Yeah.
the kids, our family, they were major. They were primary
Yeah.
in my focus.
Yeah.
In both of ours, but a man, it's a little different. They have to go out. They have
Right.
to provide. We had made a choice that I was going to be a stay-at-home mom,
Right.
that I wasn't going to go out to work. That meant sacrifices.
Right.
Financially, it meant sacrifices, but that was a choice we made,
Mm-hmm.
was for me to be a stay-at-home mom, and that was because our children were important, that important to us. We would give up make sacrifices financially in order for there to be that consistent, that constant in our kids' lives. As you guys got older, we got involved in different things, especially in ministry. And I think it came to a point where we had become so busy, and you can become busy, and you can become busy with good things.
Oh, absolutely.
And almost lose your way because it takes away from what the Lord wants. You're doing what you think He wants, and you're headed in the direction you think He wants you to go in. But sometimes it becomes more what you want than what He wants.
Okay, right.
And for whatever reason, it just can happen. Life just happened. And I can distinctly remember the very conversation of where we were when I said that to your father, to your dad, that we are going to live for our kids. It's going to be for our kids.
Yeah.
And we adjusted our course, basically.
Yeah.
To where we pulled it in.
Yeah.
And we focused on you guys.
Yeah.
We focused on providing what you needed.
Right.
Both, all the way up through. We were very focused on presenting you guys with what we felt was a balance.
Yeah.
Life.
Yeah.
We did all of the things that Christian families do. We had family altar. We had Bible reading. We had all the proper things that you do when you're training up kids in the way that they should go, like the Bible says. So we did all those things. And I remember every morning before you left for school.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
At the door, no matter who was there,
Yeah.
you and your friends, whoever happened to show up to pick you up,
Yeah.
we got in a circle and we prayed.
Yeah, it's very true.
It was just the thing that we did.
Yeah.
Every single day.
Yeah, it's true. I forgot about that. That's true.
Before you went to
That would have
school.
seemed so different to a lot of our friends. I never even thought of it. It was true. And some of them I can even remember saying they would run to the door, now that I'm thinking of it, and wanting to get there before the prayer happened. Oh, my. Yeah, that's really good. And Mom and Dad would take us to youth group, take us to church. I can't even tell you how many church services we've probably been to since we were kids. It's just been thousands, probably thousands upon thousands of church services, And not that every one of them are exceptional or are great, but somehow when you make a habit, it's like any other good habit, it impacts your life. Habits do.
It's a good thing.
It's a good thing.
Yeah.
And sometimes a church service is a great thing
because
sometimes you can feel so much of God and God's presence at a service that, wow, it's really great. But other times you just come in order to do the right thing. So, is there anything else you'd like to kind of give, Mom, as sort of some advice to a young parent today? Well, actually, Mom worked for years, and maybe she can kind of talk about this in the as a social worker. So, along with having seen what works in a family, I think very unfortunately, she saw a lot of what didn't work, and a lot of what very troubling situations in the community and in the city and in the province. So, any other kind of ideas, Mom, that you can kind of give to just families wanting to do their best as young couples and having children to give their kids the best shot they can at having a faith in Christ and keeping that faith?
I think it's in every mother's heart to give the best that they can to their child.
Yeah.
I believe that that's something that is birthed within your heart. I believe it's in innate human nature. We are For the most part, we are nurturers.
Mm-hmm.
As women, most women are. Some aren't, and that's that's just where they are.
Mm-hmm.
Different personalities, but primarily, a woman is a nurturer, and I believe that in creation, it's made that way
Yeah.
for the most part. And I think that sometimes, when as a mother, when we're not doing what we feel is in the best interest of our child, we know that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's sometimes hard to get beyond that,
Mm-hmm.
get beyond where we are,
Mm-hmm.
and know. You get, again, like I said, sometimes you get lost in living,
Mm-hmm.
and it's
Absolutely.
sometimes difficult to know, what am I doing right, what am I doing wrong.
Mm-hmm.
We will never know exactly what we're doing right or wrong. And I think the best thing to do, and we're talking primarily here to Christian mums,
Mm-hmm.
Christian dads, I think the best thing we can do is, when we are focused on teaching our children and teaching them properly, is to pray, be open. Don't neglect the natural stuff,
Right.
the regular stuff,
Right.
because you have no idea how loud that speaks to a child.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just the regular. Don't spiritualize everything.
Don't spiritualize everything.
Because it's not all spiritual.
Right.
Sometimes the most natural thing in life
Yeah.
speaks the loudest to a child.
Absolutely. Yeah.
If you spiritualize everything, it becomes phony
Yeah. Right.
to a child.
Yeah.
Kids are smart.
Yeah.
They see through us. They see through what we do. That sometimes comes out of a need within ourselves. It's not out of what's best for a child. It's out of a need within ourselves.
Yeah.
And that's where, inner healing, that's where it comes from,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It comes from a need within ourselves
Yeah.
that needs to be restored. There are areas in us that need to be restored. And we move out of what we are.
Yeah.
It comes out of whatever is in us.
Yeah.
Everything we do in life comes through
Yeah.
what the filter is that is within us.
Yeah.
Whether it's something that's correct or incorrect.
Yeah.
Every decision, every choice, all our actions, they are produced out of what we are on the inside.
Yeah.
And sometimes we make mistakes, and that's okay.
Yeah.
A mistake is okay, as long as we learn from it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Mistakes have to become our teachers.
Yeah, that's right. Very true.
And if our mistakes don't become our teacher, we will make the same mistake over.
Yeah, very true.
And sometimes the mistake can't become our teacher because we don't have what it is within us
Yeah.
to learn from.
Oh yeah, very true. That is very true. I'm gonna ask Mom to sort of speak into an area that she just mentioned, which was inner healing. And Mom, for some time or some years, was very heavily involved in helping, mostly ladies. Mostly, I'd say it's almost 100% ladies, through very serious things that they've gone through in life, abuse of all sorts of different types and kinds before they came to Christ, maybe some after, I don't know. And there's something called inner healing for folks who just find it extremely difficult to find the strength and the faith within themselves alone to go through something that they didn't invite into their life, they didn't want it into their life, and it happened, and they're left with the scar of it, looking to get over it, looking to get past it. And my mother moved in a ministry called Inner Healing, and it was just that. It was helping ladies to get through these hurts, past these hurts, and able to see themselves not only as saved, but as worthy and worthwhile and healed, I guess is the easiest word. And I'm going to ask her to sort of to sort of give us an understanding of what is inner healing. Am I saying it right, Mom? Or is it something other than that?
No, what you're saying is correct.
Yeah.
First of all, I will say this. Oftentimes, it's more difficult for a man to face emotional, anything emotional.
Mm-hmm.
They have more difficulty with it than a woman does.
Mm-hmm.
I did deal with some men, never on my own, with other women.
Mm-hmm.
It's emotional healing, basically, is what it is. And we label these things just so that we can identify with
That's
it.
right. That's right.
You can call it what you want. It is a healing. And we call it inner healing because it's within us. The healing that is necessary is within. And so we call it inner healing. But that's just a title, just a name, just
Right.
a word.
Right.
Basically.
And I think it's been, Mom, just before you go into it, I also think it's been very, very misrepresented to the point where some people are putting down a version of inner healing that probably is not, I'm not going to say it's not legitimate. I'm going to say it's probably not something that's been fruitful or worked or helped, and yet they're still moving in it. You know what I mean? So I kind of wanted you to deal with the definition of it up front and the idea of what doesn't work and what does in inner healing. I don't want to stop you from your train of thought, but just sort of if you can kind of speak to the type of inner healing that's out there that doesn't work and what you've learned that does in inner healing.
And is there a specific thing? Probably not. See,
Yeah.
the Lord, because we're different, it's different. The way that He deals with us is very specific to who we are. Now, there is a certain pattern, I guess, that I've kind of used that I found effective in dealing with people, but it's going to be very specific to each individual. And as far as the timeline is concerned, we're in a restoration. From the time we accept the Lord until the day that we die, we are going through restoration. We're going through changes. We're going through healings. The Bible speaks of gifts that are given to the body. And one of the gifts that he speaks of is gifts of healings.
Right.
Gifts, not a gift.
Right.
And not a healing.
Right.
It's gifts of healing.
Wow.
And basically, it covers every area of our life.
Right.
It is a being made whole.
Right.
We are being made whole.
Right.
It's an ongoing thing.
Yeah.
There are things that may crop up in our lives. There are broken areas, the same as if we had a broken bone or any other type of physical need. We have the same thing emotionally. There are broken areas. We are not. It would be wonderful if we were all saved and then we were perfect.
Yeah.
That's not the way it is.
No.
The Bible also speaks of vessels of honor, great vessels in a house of silver and gold and clay and wood.
Yeah.
And some of these vessels are of honor, some are of dishonor. And the Bible speaks of cleansing those vessels. And when he speaks of that, he's speaking of the church. He's speaking of the body.
Right.
And he speaks of cleansing these vessels.
Right.
For perfecting for the Father's use.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that is.
And that's
scripture.
what's happening with us.
Yeah.
We're being cleansed and we're being prepared for the Father's use. That's not to say that he can't use us as we are. He does.
Right.
But he wants us to be free.
Right.
That's God's will, is that we be free.
Yeah.
He wants us to walk in freedom.
Yeah.
And as long as there are bondages in our lives, emotional or mental or whichever, as long as there are bondages in our lives, we cannot be free.
Right.
We determine
Yeah.
what we want
Yeah.
and what we accept.
Yeah.
God doesn't determine that. He gives us a will to determine that ourselves.
Mm.
And as He will take us as far as we want Him to.
Okay.
There are no limits.
Yeah.
And it's not to say we have to be perfect before He uses us. Absolutely not. Or nobody would be used.
That's right.
Because there is no perfection in
No,
us.
that's right.
But He does want to take us to points where we can make ourselves more available to Him, for sure. There are areas that God has healed in not only in people that I've dealt with, but in my own life.
Sure.
And I grew up in a Christian home. It could not have been better as far as a home life is concerned. We had a wonderful home life. It wasn't rigid. It wasn't overbearing. We did see our mom and dad serve God properly.
Yeah.
They honored the Lord
Yeah.
with their lives.
Yeah.
We did see that
Yeah.
growing up. I always think that we had the best mom and dad
Yeah.
that anybody could have had.
Yeah.
You know, they were godly people.
Yeah.
I can recall, how many times do I recall hearing my mom praying from the bedroom, on her knees in the bedroom praying for us,
Yeah.
praying for whatever was presenting as an issue at the time. So we grew up in a godly home. I grew up in a godly home. And you often think, well, if that were the case, why did I need healing? That has no bearing on it. Because life, again,
Yeah.
life happens.
Life happens. Yeah.
And there are things that happen to us that cripple us in areas emotionally.
Right. Right.
For me, the rejection that I felt, that these things often come from a root. Something that happened to you, it could have been, at the time, it could have seemed very insignificant, very simple, but the effect on your life is not simple. And it is far from insignificant. The impact that it has, that it leaves. Any of these emotions will hold you back. It'll keep you from God's best for you.
Right.
When I got into, and it was out of necessity that we got into inner healing. It wasn't something that we knew about. It wasn't something that we had any understanding of. There was no material. There was nothing that we had access to that described anything or gave us any direction. When this came into our lives, when this came into my life, I had all I had was the term inner healing, and it really caught my attention. What is inner healing? I heard the word somewhere. I don't even recall where, and I asked the Lord about it because there was nobody understood it. So I started praying about it, and the Lord started bringing things up in my life, like very specific things. And I said, well, Lord, what do I do with this? What do I do? And especially with this rejection, he was putting his finger on that in particular at the time. And I said, I don't even know where it came from. I don't know what it. And the Lord took me back to when I was 13, maybe 14 years old. I had my little brother on my shoulders, and my sister, who was younger than me, she was behind me. And what we were doing was, he was on my shoulders, I'd let him go, and she would catch him. Unbeknownst to me, I let him go, and she wasn't there anymore.
Oh, no.
And he hit the floor.
Oh, no.
He was 4 years old. He was the apple of everybody's eye because we had 7 girls.
Yeah.
I came from a large family.
Yeah.
There was a girl, a boy, Then there were 7 girls.
Oh, wow.
And then this boy came along.
Right, right,
So he was everything.
right.
to
Yeah.
everybody.
Yeah,
And he was the baby
yeah,
at the time.
yeah.
So he hit the floor, and when he did, he broke his collarbone.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And there was a lot of chaos.
Yeah,
There was a lot of crying,
yeah,
screaming,
yeah.
just a chaotic
Oh, yeah,
experience.
yeah,
And of course, the finger pointing, without not
Yeah.
literally, but
yeah.
why did you do that? How come you? And I ran. It impacted me in a way where I ran and I hid underneath the steps.
Mm.
And nobody was trying to figure out, of course, they were focusing on me and
Right.
trying to figure out where I was.
Yeah.
And this might be of help to parents as well,
Mm.
because it's something to be aware of.
Mm.
They weren't noticing what I was doing. The whole focus, needless to say, and needed to be,
Yeah.
was on this little boy
Right.
who was in agony, absolute extreme pain.
Mm.
And the Lord showed me that rejection came in. It was a something that opened me up
Mm.
at that point
Mm.
to something coming in
Yeah.
into an area in me
Mm.
that impacted my emotions
Mm.
for my life from then on.
Mm.
Okay,
Mm.
what do I do with it? Now I know where it started.
Mm.
That's the root.
Mm.
How do I deal with this root?
Mm.
And he showed me that if I take Jesus in,
Mm.
he will heal it.
Mm.
And so what I started doing, and this is something that I used,
Mhm.
somebody else may take a different approach to
Mhm.
it. But I went through that whole thing, that whole experience with Jesus,
Right.
taking Jesus into it. He was there when I related it. I went through the pain of it. I went through the emotions of it, and I took him in through the whole experience over again.
Mm.
I relived it,
Mhm.
taking Jesus with me by the hand. I mean, I
Right.
can say that, but he was there.
Yeah.
And when it got to where that happened, and I got through it,
Mm.
I just said, Lord, I give that to you.
Mm.
I can't do anything about that, but you can.
Mm.
I give that to you.
Mhm.
And I physically took something and gave it to Jesus.
Mm.
And he physically took it from me.
Right.
And it, amazingly enough, it began to change that area in my life.
Mm.
The rejection began to just drop away.
Mhm.
It began, and I realized it's not me.
Mm.
If it were me, I could have done a lot of things, but it was me letting it go.
Right.
It was me giving it to Jesus,
Mm.
giving him the rejection,
Mm.
giving him the hurt,
Right.
giving him the pain. Now, mine is probably, we say some, it's minor. Yeah, like I said, there are some things that seem to be insignificant, but they're not.
Right.
I can say mine was minor in comparison to what some people go through.
Sure. Yeah.
And it is minor in as far as the experience itself.
Right.
But the impact.
The impact. Okay, gotcha. So if somebody was trying to figure out if they needed inner healing for something in their life, is the answer automatically yes, or is there sort of a discernment to know whether or not somebody needs this kind of a healing in their life? What do you usually tell people?
God's faithful.
Mm.
The Lord's faithful in that He's going to let you know. Not only will He let you know that you have, I think it's not difficult to see areas where we're crippled.
Mm-hmm.
I think that it will come up in your everyday life, oftentimes.
Yeah.
The difficulty is not knowing if you need it.
Right.
The difficulty is knowing what you need.
Right.
What's going on? What is the root? Where
Yeah.
did this originate from?
Right.
I've dealt with people, and some people may not agree with this, but I've dealt with people on it. I've dealt with people that needed inner healing from the womb, from before they were born, because, and they had no idea about it until they approached their mom on it, because their mom considered abortion.
Oh, okay, right.
Oftentimes, a mom is going through traumatic. Our experiences in life are so varied, and the place where people find themselves at that point in their lives is so traumatic for some people.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of us can't even imagine what people go through. Our first step is salvation. This has no bearing, and I really want to emphasize this. This has no bearing on your salvation.
No.
You are saved because of the cross, because Jesus sacrificed on the cross, and that's your salvation. That won't be taken from you by a need for healing in areas of your life. It will just help you grow in Christ. It will help you grow in your experience and in your walk with the Lord.
Yeah.
It will enable you to be stronger in areas in order to be able to overcome. Because with crippled areas in your emotions, crippled areas in your life, there are things that you cannot overcome until that's moved out of the way.
Yeah, that's right.
There are they're roadblocks. They're spiritual roadblocks is what they are. You can't get beyond them until that roadblock is removed and you proceed forward. And is this a one-time thing? No, it is not. Is it something that there's a timeline on? No, it is not. It can be something that can happen very quickly, the same as a physical healing can happen very quickly, or it can be something that can happen over a period of time.
We know of a few churches that actually make it a regular part of their, but things that they offer at their church, they offer, inner healing to anybody who, off the cuff, might think they need it, and then you go through a course and walk through it with, I think, another person in the course. I'm not exactly sure how it goes, but maybe every course is different. I don't know. And they offer it to anybody that wants to find help in areas where they just don't seem to be able to get help within themselves or within their own faith. So I know of churches that are doing that, and other churches, they seem to be a million miles from it, because it is, like I said, it gets involved in the unpleasant.
It's messy.
It's messy.
And it's not something that you want to be into. It's something that is a necessity for the body, I believe. And another thing that I would encourage people, don't go digging.
Right.
Don't go digging.
Right.
Because that will leave you frustrated, because you're going in all directions and you're not focused. Allow the Holy Spirit to show you.
Oh, I see what you mean. Okay, right.
Don't dig, oh, is it this? Did this happen? Is it this? Allow God to show you, because He's faithful to show you if you're open.
Yeah.
If you're open to Him.
Yeah. We must be in one of the most confused, vulnerable times and generations, maybe ever. The kind of, if you want a job that you can count on, that'll never stop in your life, it would be in the mental health profession, for sure. Yeah. And there's a lot of reasons for that, but I think the main reason is the breakdown of the family, and I don't think that's any shocking thing to say, or there's no real grand wisdom in saying that. It's just been beaten so horribly by Satan, because he knows, like Mom was saying, what kind of health and what kind of goodness comes from a family staying together. And, it just offers so much stability. It offers the enemy so little territory when a family stays together. And look, if that hasn't been the case in your life and your family hasn't, stayed together. It's probably led to some different times and places of vulnerabilities. Hey, Mom.
Without a doubt.
As a result, were a lot of the folks that you work with, could you say that they were from broken families, or would you say, what did you find that way, or was that a major part of it, or no? Would you say it was
I
just
think
as much one way as the other? What did you find?
I it, it, when I mentioned that some things that cause dramatic impacts on our lives
Mm.
seem insignificant.
Mm.
It doesn't need to be from something that's
Mm.
a major event in your life,
Mm.
or even breakdown of a family. Breakdown of a family is traumatic in so many areas of
Yeah.
life,
Yeah.
of your life, and now with, like you say, with the enemy's onslaught on the family,
Mm.
on the definition of the family,
Mm.
on the preservation of the family,
Mm.
there is an onslaught. There's
Yeah.
no question about
Oh,
it.
yeah, for sure.
There's no question about that.
Yeah.
And yes, that is going to cause issues
Mm.
in your life.
Mm.
But it doesn't have to be anything that
Mm.
traumatic. It can be something simple. And I have to say that it probably was almost as much. It may have left them open. Did I deal with a lot of families that were broken down? No, it
Mm.
wasn't. It
Not
wasn't a whole
particular.
lot. Not
No.
particularly. But when you're looking at the body of Christ, you're looking at every single aspect.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Incredible homes,
Mm.
coming from incredible
Mm.
homes, to homes that
Mm.
have been so detrimental
Yeah.
in your emotional health.
Yeah.
And it covers the whole spectrum, so
Yeah.
it probably would cover the whole spectrum in the people I dealt with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny because years ago my mother had a ministry with some great ladies, Mrs. Joan Mitchell and Mrs. Carol Purdy, and they were just great friends who deeply cared about ladies in need. And listen, I cannot tell you the number of times that I have met someone for the very first time, and conversation, we're just having normal conversation, and all of a sudden they find out, wait a minute, do you mean you're so and so and you're so and so, and Dolly MacDougall is your mom, and do you know whether it was through mom or through Mrs. Purdy or Mrs. Mitchell, they've experienced inner healing, and these are people in ministry today. Really. I mean, I've had ministers in churches that my wife and I have gone to who have basically come up to us, and this is when we've been in need, and they've just said, if you only knew how that particular ministry helped them. So don't be ashamed if you feel a need in your life for this ministry. Don't be. There's some folks who have found the answer to a lot of deeper issues in their heart and mind, and have gone on to just do wonderful things for God as a result of just being open and just being real about where they were at and the help they needed. So, yeah. Is there anything else, Mom, you wanted to say concerning that inner healing?
I think I've been in this now it was probably close to 40 years now.
Mm-hmm.
I've been involved in, at times more involved than other times,
Yeah.
for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And it is something that if God's bringing something to the surface in your life, and you will know if something is surfacing. If God is bringing something to the surface in your life, don't be afraid of it. Don't let it be something that will stop you from moving forward. Just recognize it as God bringing things up. It's not something that's going to stop you for the rest of your life. He's faithful. If he is bringing it to the surface, he's going to use something to bring you to a point of healing in that area, so you're free from it. And that's the big thing, is people are afraid because these things arise. And they think that I can't do anything with this. There's nothing I can do. But that isn't true,
Right.
because he brings it up for a reason.
Right.
And if it doesn't, if there's not something that happens at this point to bring you through that and bring you into healing in that area, he'll bring it up again. If you want him, he wants you.
There you go.
If you want this, he will bring it up and bring you into healing in it.
Amen.
And it's not something, it's simple, but at the same time, it may be complicated. There are people that I said, learn how to do this, because this is a lifetime thing. As long as we're living, there will be things that will come up, that will happen, that can impact your life, that you can take Jesus through it and give it to him.
Amen.
But learn to give it to him. Learn how to go through this so that it is effectively dealt with, and you're free.
And you're free. Yeah.
And the big thing is, like I said, when he surfaced it, he brought it to the surface, and I took him into that experience that I went through. Take Jesus into. He'll show you the route. Don't dig, but allow God to bring it up. Allow him to show you what is causing that, what the root is in this. And when he does, take him in through to that experience. Take him through that experience. Don't be afraid of it. Don't be afraid of the emotions involved. Sometimes there are very, very deep emotions that will come out. Sometimes there's very deep crying. Don't be afraid of it. Sometimes there are very strong emotions. Don't be afraid of them. Because when these roots are being dealt with, there's a tearing sometimes, and it's not pretty, and it's not nice. And it is painful at times, but it's worth it in the end. Just allow him to take you through it and give it to him. Let him heal it. That's the important thing.
Well, okay, if you through watching this feel that you'd like to get in touch with Mom, and please just send off an email to. You can send it off to the email provided for this show. Max will show it right beneath, and we will promptly send it right to Mom, and she'll get in touch with you. So if you have any questions or anything like that, or if you're a person going through this type of a need that she spoke about, just go ahead. Let her know. Send it through. It's nothing we're going to read or view. It'll just go straight through to her. And my son Max will put our email address on the bottom of the screen again right now. And just jot that down. And like I said, if you're looking for any more information or any further help concerning this, if she can't help you, maybe she can point you in the direction of some people who are, a better fit for the need that you might be having. So I want to thank Mom for coming on the show. And anyway, God bless you guys. Have a great week. And we'll see you again next week. God bless.